Hi all, good morning.
Hey Vamshi, good morning.
Hey, hi, very good morning. Okay, so the very first step, you need to ensure Apache is up and running fine. This is the very first step. Okay. Then, no need to always copy IP address and open in URL. Yesterday I have shown you that if you are working, if you are opening the tool for very first time, then copy the IP address, okay, and paste it here, followed by port number, CMS. Okay, when you click on this play button, a Siberian file will be downloaded. From the next time, whenever you access, just double click the Siberian file. Okay, just double click the Siberian file. You see the naming standards: Siberian, CMS, MRM. These all are the legacy.
Vamshi, you had covered yesterday how to create ORS, right?
Yeah, true.
Can you please also cover how to install MDM and also JBoss, all the components required?
Installation, like I require a plain environment to install. So I'll share you recorded session. You understand that installation I require a plain environment and it's done on server environment. So I'll share you the recorded one. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to clear.
Okay, okay. Yeah, either way is fine. Like if you can send me that.
The training session, they won't cover installations. But it's not a problem. I'll share you my recorded session. If you don't understand anything, just give me a call. I'll help you. See, it's very simple.
Okay.
It's very simple. First, you need to install database. I told you when you want to install MDM, it doesn't have storage area, and whatever you do over there, that has to store in some location. For that, we require a database. So MDM supports Oracle, MySQL, DB2. Okay. So first install database. Then create a schema. Yesterday someone asked, there are two types of databases, HubStore, ORS. And I told you HubStore is created at the time of installation. So same steps. Yesterday what we have done, create underscore ORS, and it has asked database username, password, port number, etc. etc. Then empty schema got created. Then you click on import ORS, right? In the same way, to create an HubStore, to create a CMS system, this is the steps you need to follow. Zip underscore and create underscore system. If you remember yesterday, create underscore ORS. But for
That's correct.
CMS system, for HubStore, create underscore system. Then it will ask you all the details, database, username, password, all those things. Then import underscore system. Okay, then what happens? CMS underscore system will be created. This is nothing but master HubStore. Okay, then install JBoss. See, it's very simple. Just nest, nest, nest. That's it. In JBoss, it will ask you to create a user, add a user. I added a user with admin at the rate 1.
Okay.
See, I'm entering with what credit? Okay, it has not asked me. It's stored in cache file. If you see here, I added a user with the username admin and I given password admin at the rate 1 2. And empty, see, when you click on, after you install JBoss, you get this window. When you click on this deployment, you won't get any of these services. An empty environment. Okay. Then what you do? You need to install MDM Hub. Like you have a software, MDM Hub server. Just double click nest, nest, nest. It will ask you the path where to install. It will ask you the license. Then it will ask you the JBoss environment, which path you have installed JBoss. You have to give the JBoss path. Then it will ask you the database, CMS system what you created, what is the username, what is the password, etc. Then in the JBoss, services will get deployed here. Anyhow, I'm going to share you the recorded session. It's very simple.
Okay, okay.
Very simple instrument.
So yeah, as a sequence, we have to install the first Oracle database,
True.
then the
IDQ database, JBoss, then MDM hub.
MDM. In the when you are after MDM, then we have to do the SIP ANT create system, right? Okay, okay.
And one more thing, what you need to ensure, you need to have Java in your machine.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, we have, right.
Okay. Anyhow, I'll share your recorded session, and it explains very good. No worries.
Thanks, Vamshi.
Okay, so click OK. So I hope you understand now. I'm on UI layer. When I'm entering the credentials, it is asking me in which database you would like to work. And I told you yesterday, there are two databases. One is Master Database Hub, other one is ORS. So when to connect Master Database Hub and when to connect ORS. When you are working on configuration, workbench, utility, then you need to connect to the Master Database Hub, or else you need to connect to an ORS. Okay. Okay. So yesterday we discussed this tab, databases tab. Okay. So now I would like to complete first this configuration, then I would like to come to data model and all this. So when I click on this configuration workbench utility, it is telling me this tool can only be used with the master database. This tool can only be used with the master database. I told you master database, all the configuration, all the admin related information is stored in the master database. So when you are working with that type of metadata, then you need to connect to the CMS system, MDM hub store. Okay, click on connect to master database. Okay, you have read access by default. You can't edit it. So to edit something, you need to take the access. Okay. So yesterday I have shown you how to create an ORS how to create an ORS and how to restart that ORS with MDM. Yesterday I have shown you this. Okay. Click on users. I'm giving a quick walk through the tool. Each workbench utility has its own time frame window. At this point of time, I'm just giving you a quick walk through the tool. Okay, users. So these are the users which are created. How to create a new user? It's very simple. Click on this plus button. This all you can do, nothing to explain. First name, middle name, all those things. So by default, Kishore can access which database? MDM Hub Store. By default, Kishore can access MDM Hub Store. If you would like to give him access to other ORS or other database, you can select here. Okay. Password, let me give the same username. Okay. Okay. I created a user here. Now click on file, click on options, click on re-login as. Let me log in with Kishore credentials. Okay. So how many databases I am able to access with Kishore? Only one database. We have seen that. By default, for each user at the time of creation, you can give access to one specific default database. So at the time of creation, the default database is HubStore. So I have just put HubStore only. Click on connect. Can you see anything here? Why? Because I have not given any access to Kishore. Okay. So let me give him access. So this is very simple. Just I'm exploring the tool. Okay. Take the lock. This is the user what you created, right? Kishore. Look what you can see here. Target database. Click on this. So what all users you would like to give access, what all database you would like to give access to Kishore? I would like to give access Kishore on ORS sample. You understand, right? and I would like to give him access on ORS classroom. Okay. Now click on relogin. Can you see? But I'm not able to access any, I'm not able to, when I enter the Kishore credentials, I'm not able to see any tool access. So what access you have here? What all utilities you have here? Configuration, schema, data steward, etc. But I'm not able to see any of the tool access. I need to give it tool access. So again, log in with admin credentials. Can you see something called as tool access? Okay. So which user? Okay. So what all access you would like to give it? What all access? What all tool access you would like to give Kishore? I don't want him to give configuration because this is something where admin works. So I don't want to give him access to admin related things. So I would like to give him access to data model. I would like to give him access to SAP, and I would like to give him access to data steward, and also I would like to give him access to utilities. Okay. Now click on options. Click on relogin as. Now log in with Kishore. You can see all this tool access. You can explore very simple. Can you see? Earlier I was not able to see any of the tool utilities, but now you can see few workbench utilities, right? Okay. So this is the way you create a user and you give the tool access. Okay. And if you see a global password policy, it will tell you when the password is going to expire and what is the minimum length it requires, what is the maximum length it requires, etc. Okay, you can explore this. The security providers where you configure the LDAP, so this is not really that much important. Next tool access we have seen. Message queues. Yeah, this is very important. Okay. So if you remember the architecture, to identify the master data, first of all you need to get the data. Right? So MDM gets the data, identifies the master data, and it publishes the master data to the downstream subscribers. Right? So you have inbound service and you have outbound service. So I told you like inbound real-time service, inbound batch mode, as well as outbound real-time service and outbound batch mode. And if you remember, I told you inbound real-time service is handled by SIF, Service Integration Framework. And I explained outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQ. Outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQs. Right? Outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQ. And what I told, whatever change happen in MDM, the change has to immediately replicate to the third parties via JMSQ through XML messages. So what is the responsibility of an MDM developer here? You need to configure a queue. You need to configure a queue, or you can say create a queue. You need to configure a queue, and you need to integrate. These all steps you will understand when I discuss JMSQ. You need to integrate queue with hub server, or else you need to integrate queue with MDM hub console. And the final step, you need to apply message triggers on base object. These are the steps what we need to do. Okay. So when I discuss JMSQ, this concept comes into the picture. Message queues. I hope you understand. Message queues, outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQs. In MDM, outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQ. Don't get confused, guys. Queue is nothing but if you have a slight knowledge towards web services, then queue is a very common word. If you don't have any exposure towards web services, queue is something, generally we have two types of, we get data in two ways. Batch mode, real-time mode. In bash mode, when you are working with bash mode, you have database, flat files, COBOL files, XML files, etc. When you are working with real-time mode, you have architecture is built in such a way, like source system will publish message to queue. From there, Informatica will read the message from the queue and process. So queue is nothing but a buffer. Queue is nothing but a buffer, a memory storage area. Queue is nothing but a memory storage area. It's a buffer. It contains the messages, not like table, rows, columns, not in this way. It contains XML messages. And queue works in first out. Messages will fill the queue and end systems will pull the messages from the queue based on first in, first out. Queue works based on first in, first out. Okay. So queue is nothing but a storage area. It's a memory. It's a buffer. That's it. So what is the role of an MDM developer here? You just need to create a queue. Where do I create a queue? I create a queue in JBoss. If you see here, guys, these are the queues. This at this point of time you don't understand. As I told you, when I get into JMS queues, deeper you'll understand. So here, if you see, these are the queues. These all are the queues. Expiry queue, DL queue, Siberian, SIF.jms queue, CRM queue, these all are the queues. So you just need to configure the queue and you have to integrate the queue with MDM Hub and you need to apply message triggers on base objects. What you mean by apply triggers on message triggers on base object? Let us assume there is a table called as party contact address. Whatever change happened in party table, immediately the change has to replicate to the third party. What change you made, either a new record got inserted into party table, then immediately a new record in the form of XML message should be inserted into the queue. Then external systems will pull the data from the queue. That is not your responsibility. Okay? If an update happened in party table, then immediately the change event has to be replicated to the queue via XML messages. So here data doesn't flow in the form of rows and columns. It flows in the form of XML messages. Okay? Anyhow, you'll understand deeper when I get into JMS. This is just a walkthrough over the tool. Next one, repository manager. Repository manager. Whatever software, whatever platform you take, the software lifecycle will be in three ways, like development, test, production. In development, you gather the requirements, looking at the specification sheets, you start developing the code and you do unit testing. Once you feel that what requirement given to you, you have achieved that, then you deploy the code into the test environment. You migrate the code into the test environment. When the code is migrated into the test environment, you have only read access, but you don't have edit access, right? So in test environment, users will test the code. In development environment, most of the times you have dummy data. They won't give you real-time data in the development environment because if you are working with the banking or insurance, the data is confidential. They don't give you real-time environment. Okay, they give you dummy data. So in the test environment, users will test the code with some more real-time data and dummy data. And once they feel that everything looks good, they give you a sign-off mail. Then the code is moved into production environment. This is the general process what happens. And in the production environment, business happens with live data. Right? Now the question is, how the code is migrated from one environment to another environment. As you know, in the development environment, you have the complete access and you work with dummy data. And in test environment, you have only read access. And in that environment, you have some more real-time data as well as dummy data. It depends upon project. And when the code is moved into production environment, you just have read access. That's it. You can't make any changes if any bug, if any issues have been identified. Right? So how the code is migrated in MDM? This is a very regular basic question. How the code is migrated in MDM? How the code is deployed from one environment to other environment in MDM? Okay. How the code is deployed from one environment to another environment in MDM? Through repository manager we can do this. Okay. And also MDM provides a flexibility to export and import a data model. You know what is data model? Data model is nothing but collection of tables. Data model is nothing but collection of tables. So MDM provides you a flexibility where MDM is not an exclusive data modeling tool. See, just for the timing, try to understand. Data modeling is something collection of tables and defining the relationship between the two. How one table is associated with another table. Do I need to keep a table? Which normalization form I need to keep? Type 1, type 2, type 3, etc. And you define the relationship among each other. So that is nothing but a data model. MDM supports a relationship diagram. MDM supports a relationship data model. But MDM is not an exclusive data modeling tool. MDM is not an exclusive data modeling tool. It just provides you a minimum flexibility to create a data model. Okay, so MDM gives you an option. I should not say MDM, I should say Informatica MDM gives you an option where you can develop a data model in an exclusive data modeling tool like Erwin. Informatica MDM gives you a flexibility to develop or to create a data model in exclusive data modeling tool and export that data model into .cwm format, .cwm file format. CWM stands for Common Warehouse Model File. CWM stands for Common Warehouse Model File. So MDM gives you a flexibility to configure to create a data model in exclusive data modeling tool like Erwin, and you can export the data model or you can export the plan, but the file extension should be .cwm file. Then click on import from CWM file. Okay, where your CWM file is there, just select that, click open and next. Then what happens is, no need to create any base objects, everything will be created automatically because you are importing all the table structures and relationships in a single shot. Okay, and you can also export your data model. The data model what you develop, that data model you can export to other applications. Trust me, generally these two types are not used as part of the content I'm explaining. Okay, MDM provides you a flexibility to import the data model which is developed in external tool or explicitly data modeling tool, but the file format should be CWM file, .cwm file. In the same way, you can export your data model to other tools as well. Okay, so this is really not generally used. This is used. Promote, import, export. This I'll tell you later. Deeper I'll explain to you later. But the timing, what you understand, the code is migrated from one environment to another environment using repository manager. First of all, to work on repository manager, you need to validate the ORS which you would like to export and which you would like to import. See what you do. From one ORS, you would like to move to another ORS. So source you need to validate, target you need to validate. The code developed in which environment, that environment needs to be validated, and which environment you would like to deploy, that environment should also be validated. So first you need to validate the ORS, then only you can work on the steps. Okay? Deeper explanation, I'll explain when I take repository manager session. See, why I am walking through the tool. Once you open the tool, you understand this utilities. You won't feel like, what is this message queues, what is this tool access, etc. So when you connect to this tool, you get an idea about each and every workbench utility what you see here. That's the main motive. I'm giving you a walkthrough the core tool. Okay. Next one is Enterprise Manager. Nothing to explain here. You just see the environmental details, which where your Informatica MDM got installed and which database your master database is created, etc. All the environmental details. Nothing much to look here. Guys. All the environmental and configuration details. So this is really not that much important. Just to know your environment, you can check this information. Okay. Process server. This is very important. If you remember, I told you there are two servers. Not important, you won't do anything, just an information. That's it. How many process servers are used. If you remember, I told you, there are two servers. Hub server, cleanse map server. And I explained you, if hub server is down, you can't connect to the client component. If hub server is up, but cleanse map server cleanse map server is down, then you can connect to the client component. You can develop the code, but the thing is you can't execute the code. So all the time you need to ensure hub server and cleanse map server should be up. So this is the cleanse map server. Okay. Anyhow, I'll explain. This is not required. Master database, just the information. ORS databases, what all registered, and environmental report. This is just an environmental information. You won't work on this. You won't work on this utility. You understand, right? You won't work on this utility. Just this workbench utility just gives you an awareness on which environment you have installed. Okay? And what all databases registered, and your master database got installed on which database, your Java got installed in which path, and which version of Java got installed, which application server got installed, which version of application server got installed, etc. etc. Next, workflow manager. This is not a power center workflow. Workflow manager. In MDM, there is a concept called as active voice. In MDM, this comes with a license. I don't have this license. Active voice. This is nothing but a state management. Okay guys, state management approval process. See, you are working in a corporate culture. Okay, you got an on-site assignment. Okay, so whatever expenses you spend on the travel, everything will be reimbursed you. But first, initially, you need to keep from your pocket. Then you have to submit your claims. Then what happens? It will go in a series of reviews. First, your lead has to be reviewed and he has to approve. Then your manager, then your on-site manager, then HR. Anyone in the cycle can reject your claim, right? So in MDM also, whatever changes happen in MDM, if a new record got inserted into base object, or if some update has done on the base object, that change is not going to reflect to the business directly. The change that happened, that has to go in an approval process. The change that has happened, that has to go in an approval process. I'll show you. In a base object, you have a column called as hub stage. In base object, you have a column called as hub stage indicator. If you are interested to see, I can show you. In base object, you have a column called as hub stage indicator. And that hub stage indicator contains the numeric values 0, 1, -1. So what is the significance? If you see here in the base object, there's a column called as hub state indicator. There's a column called as hub state indicator. Where is that? Yeah, hub state indicator. Okay. So this hub state indicator contains the flag values. Okay, these are the flag values. So whenever any change whenever something happened on the base of it, a new record got inserted, or something got updated, or something got deleted, whatever change happened in MDM, that change has to go in an approval process. By default, it won't work. When you have active OS license installed, configured, then this state management approval process comes into the picture. So by default, it will be 1. For every report, if a new report got inserted, or if you edit something, or whatever you do, by default it will be 1. Okay? By default it will be 1. Then data steward. It can be 2-step approval process, 3-step approval process, etc. 2-step approval process means on top of you, team lead, manager. 3-step, 4-step, maximum it will be 5-step approval process, not more than that. I have seen 5-step approval process. But it's a very lengthy and time-taking thing. So whenever you make any change, that change goes to the review to your seniors. Generally, we call them as data steward here. So data steward will review the change what you made, and everything looks good. Then he will approve it. So by default, it will be 1. That is nothing but change has been made. It's under review. When by default, it will be 0. By default, it will be 0. This means the change has been made. It's under review. If data steward review the change and if he approve, that will turn to 1. And if data steward review the change what you made and if he rejects it, it will turn to -1. 0 means approval in pending mode, 1 means reviewed and approved, -1 means reviewed and escalated, rejected. Okay. So this all comes into the picture when you have active OS, active OS. Okay. This is called state management approval process. Okay. This workflow manager explains to trigger the task and all those things. Okay. Now I hope you understand this configuration tab. What is database, users, tool access, message queues, repository manager, enterprise manager, workflow manager, etc. Now this is where the admin goes. To be very frank, this is where.
Vamshi,
yeah, please.
Vamshi, as part of workflow manager, do you create workflow tasks?
Yeah, the
thing what is the stage like?
Yeah, I understand. We need to configure this active OS. I have license towards this, but it's not getting. I mean, after configuring the active OS, the tool is getting crashed, and it's getting hanged. So I uninstalled active OS. So if active OS is there, if this license is compatible, then I can show you triggering the task and all those things. But tool is getting crashed as soon as I configure this active.
So this is a very custom, like we have to know the Java to...
Not very much custom, just GUI.
GUI, okay.
GUI only, no coding or nothing required, GUI.
Okay.
But there's an advanced topic generally, I don't know why, but that ActiveOS is not getting properly compatible with MDM. Like I have an ActiveOS license as well, but when I register that license, tool is getting crashed.
Okay. Do you have any working example to show us like how the workflow manager works?
I'm really sorry, I can't show you this ActiveOS. Technically, I can cover this one.
Okay.
When we have given corporate training for Accenture, but there also we did not get a chance to show this ActiveOS because tool is getting crashed as soon as I register ActiveOS.
No, my question was like you're working for some client, right?
I understand, but I can't connect to the, first of all, from past 2 years I'm not working, I'm completely into training field, so I don't have any remote access, and
okay.
That's the main thing, I'm completely into training field, I'm not working. For past 2 years, I'm completely into training field. I have 13 years of experience and 9 years into training field. From past 2 to 2.5 years, I'm completely into training field. I'm not working anywhere. I have my own.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, this diagram model. From here, the developer responsibility starts. Okay. Schema. So what do you want me to explain on schema? Schema contains collection of tables. So from past 3 days, I'm explaining you. Data gets in a batch process flow, like source to land to stage, stage to PO. Once you get a proper standardized data into PO, there you configure match, merge, and identify the best version of truth, right? So these are the landing tables where we create. These are the stage tables what we create. First, you need to create the base objects. From base objects only, you'll be getting the stage table. This you'll understand in the next session. So, base objects, stage tables, landing tables, and we also have lookup table concepts. This all will explain you in the coming session. So, schema is nothing but collection of tables. Okay. Next one, schema viewer. See, I told you MDM supports a relationship data model. Nothing but you create tables and you define the relationship among them. So you create a table here and here you define the relationships. This I'll show you in the next session. Here you define the relationships. Okay. Then when you click on schema viewer, you can see how one table is associated with another table. This data model I'll explain you in the next session. For the timing, just see how it looks like. Same like if you people are from data warehousing background, how data model you see over there, the same data model, but there you see dimensions and facts. Here there is no concept of dimensions. Sorry, here there is no concept of facts. You have only textual attributes. Anyhow, this data model I'm going to explain later. At this point of time, I'm not interested. So in schema viewer, you can see the collection of tables and you can see how one table is associated with another table, the relationship between the tables. Okay. Next one, systems and trust. Yes, this is important. In MDM, the very first step, first you need to analyze what all source systems are contributing data to MDM. If you remember in the architecture session, I just opened some PDF and I told you these are the two source systems which are providing data to MDM, right? So first of all, the very first thing you need to register all the source systems which are contributing data to MDM. So in real time also you get in the same way. You get a specification document. That document tells what source systems are contributing data to MDM. If you see here, let us assume this is the case study what we prepared. This is the case study what we prepared. If you see here, you have a tab called as source systems. You have a tab called as source systems. This is the real-time case study when I work with IBM. These are the source systems. Nothing to know this name abbreviation. These are the business names, and you need not remember this. Like we were like the source systems we used to call CKR, MLO, MCCS, etc. So I work with the telecom domain. So CKR, all the CKR, all the legacy customers we used to get like all the prepaid related information. MLO, all the postpaid related information, fiber, all the broadband related information, etc. So this where this MLO, MCCS we used to get in a flat files. On a daily basis, they used to give us flat files. That flat files we used to process it to MD. So your source can be database, flat file, it can be anything. It can be literally anything. And this was a real-time system, CKR. In my project, I worked with, if you remember, I told you yesterday, I worked in a project where I have batch mode as well as real-time mode, but due to performance issues, whenever we execute the batch mode, we used to stop the real-time mode and we used to process the batch mode. You remember that? But yesterday I've shown you an option. Batch mode, real-time mode. If you want to trigger both jobs parallelly, what option you need to enable? Batch of what is that? Oh, batch API interoperability. This is the option what you need to enable, right? This is what I told you. Batch API interoperability. When you enable this, what happens? Batch mode as well as real-time mode. Both can be triggered parallel. Okay, so if you see here, these all are the source systems. A system which provides the data. First of all, you need to analyze what all source systems are contributing data to MDM. What all source systems are contributing data to MDM. So these were the source systems. These all source systems we integrated with MDM. Okay, but not all at a time. You won't integrate all the source systems at a time. In my project, first 3 source systems in one shot we integrated. Then new source systems got added. We had 38 source systems. In my tenure, we integrated somewhere around 14 to 15 source systems. Okay, so you need to analyze the source systems. Then what you need to do? You need to register here. Click on expand this. Right click. This is a big headache here. Always you need to take a look. Right click, add system. So you just look at your technical sheet, or else if you know what source systems are contributing data, just add the source systems here. Okay. Then I told you, whenever you add the source systems here, in which repository database, nothing, no need to know this, just for your understanding. So where it stores, if you remember yesterday, there's a repository table called as C underscore repos underscore system. Let me reconnect. Can you see it, guys? These all are the source systems. These all are the source systems. You can see. Admin is a default source system. You won't create admin. Admin is a default source system. You can ask me why admin is a default system. Whenever you make any change in MDM directly, how you get data? LAN, source to LAN, in this way you get. But you have ignored this batch process and you have made changes directly in MDM. Whenever you make any change in MDM directly, for that particular record, source system will be admin. You understand, right? See, you have two tables. One is base object, other one is cross-reference table. If you understand, I told you, in base object per customer, one record is maintained. Right? In base object per customer, one record is maintained. Whereas in cross-reference, if a customer, if the same customer, three source systems are contributing, then all the three records are maintained in cross-reference. Then, at that point of time, you know, right? You need to know, right? Which record coming from which source system. That's the reason you need to restudy your source system. Then MDM will tell you the record that got contributed with which system. Okay, and when you make any changes directly for that particular record, system name will be admin. Okay, so here source system we need to register, and all this nothing to remember this, that will be stored in this particular table. C underscore records underscore system. Okay, and here this is very important. Trust. You remember the mechanism of trust? So, what is trust? A very basic interview question. What is trust? What is trust? You remember? After you execute the match process, what is going to happen? MDM will create a pair. And what will be the match output? Exact match, possible match, no match, based on the output. Based on the match rule, you configure either to go for auto merge, manual merge, etc. Right? So, after MDM has executed the match process, MDM will create the pair. Let us assume, as I showed you in the last session, John K, Smith. These three customers belong to the same, the three entries belong to the same customer. Now, which name coming from which source system will be survivor? Here comes trust into the picture. Trust, the name tells you trust. Trust is a mechanism. Trust is a mechanism which identifies the column coming from which source system need to be survivor. I repeat, trust is a mechanism which identifies the column coming from which source system need to be survivor when you merge the records. Okay. So how would I know? How would I know what trust I need to enable? I mean, let us assume this is the party table and these are the columns. Do I need to enable trust for each and every column? In my table, I have 100 columns. Let us assume. Do I need to enable trust on 100 columns? No, not required. Generally, trusts are enabled on the columns which are provided more than one source. I have a column called as email ID, or else I have a column called as address. Address is provided by all the systems. Then you need to enable trust on address. Now the next question is, what will be the, how would I know what is the trust score I need to configure on the columns coming from source systems? How would I know? You get in this way. What I told you, a lot of data quality, a lot of profiling is done on the source system. Based on that, they will analyze the genuinity of the source system and they define the trust scores. This is not your responsibility. So you have a sheet. Yeah. So in this way you will get this. If you see here, I have a table called as party table, and these are the columns available in the party table: name, organization name, status, party type, and these are the different source systems. Name I get from CKR, name I get from MLO, name I get from MCCS. Okay, and these are the trust scores. If you get a name from CKR system, assign the trust score 60. If you get a name from MLO system, assign the trust score 70. If you get a name from MCCS system, assign the trust score 80. In the same way, organization name from CKR 60, MLO 70, MCCS 80. So in this way, the trust scores are given to you. You need to refer this sheet and you need to configure the trust scores. Okay, you need to configure the trust scores. This all options I'll explain you in the next sessions. Okay, so what happens when you consolidate a record? This trust is calculated in the back end and it will ensure the column coming from which source system has more trust score, that is going to be survivor. I hope you understand. So systems and trust. You understand this utility, right? Systems and trust. Trust is the mechanism which identifies the column coming from which system needs to be survivor and which should be stored in the cross-reference. Okay. Systems is nothing but what all source systems are contributing data to MDM. The very checkpoint is you need to register all the source systems here. Next one, queries. See, what do you want me to explain here? Queries is nothing but SQL statements. So, stage tables, landing tables, base objects. Where are all these tables? They are in database. So if I would like to access stage table, or if I would like to access landing table, if I would like to access base objects, generally what you do, always you connect to the database and you file the queries. You file the queries and you try to access. Why should I connect to the database and access? Can't I access in MDM? Why do I always connect to the third party? Can't I access MDM? Can't I access those table information in MDM directly? Yes, you need to write the queries. You understand, right? You need to write the queries. Okay? You need to write the queries. Queries are nothing but an SQL statement. Can you see it? Queries are nothing but SQL statements. Next comes packages. Okay. At this point of time, you don't understand what is the significance of packages, but down the line, when I talk about data manager, merge manager, hierarchy manager, you'll come to know about packages. But let me explain you what is package. Don't get confused. When you see packages in MDM, this is not a database package. If your people have database exposure, in database you have triggers, procedures, functions, packages, etc. But in MDM, packages is not a database related concept. Okay. So package is used to execute the query. You have created a query, right? See, I told you there are two client components. For the time being, let me explain you. There are two client components. MDM Hub Console and what else? Informatica Data Director. So who work on IDD? Generally, you configure the application, business will access IDD. So what IDD do? It runs on the top of the MDM Hub console and it represents the data in a more GUI format. Have I shown you IDD, how it looks like? Let me explain. Let me show you. This is another client component. AT BDD. See, Vamshi, you are talking about IDD, but why the hell you are entering BDD? Informatica has named this product as BDD. Sorry, IDD, Informatica Data Director. But this product was its IP. They used to call it as Business Data Director. When Informatica has acquired this product, they made it as Informatica Data Director. But the naming standards have not changed. Still they are following BDD. Click enter. Okay, this is how IDD client component looks like. It's a thin web-based client application. Click on login. You need to configure this. No Informatica Data Director applications are available. What you understand by that? You have not created any app, so I can't show you anything. So as a developer, you need to configure this. Okay, anyhow, this I am going to explain later. But this IDD runs on where? IDD runs on top of MDM Hub Console. But how IDD access the data? Through packages. Try to understand, guys. What you have in MDM, what you developed in MDM Hub Console, base objects, right? In base objects only you have the master data, right? So what master data you identified, in which table it is stored? It is stored in base object. IDD runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. That means IDD needs to access which tables? IDD needs to access base objects, the data what is there in base object. But how it is going to access? By using packages. Packages. What is package? Package just execute the query. Package just call the query. Okay, in another language, if you have database knowledge, in database we have a concept called as view. V-I-E-W, view. So what is view? View is an SQL statement. Whenever you run a view, a SQL query is going to execute in the backend, and in the front end you get the data. It's a logical representation view. Doesn't store any data. Why you go for views? I have a table. In the table I have a 10 columns. And I have a confidential data in the table. But my business is requesting, like some users are requesting who would like to access this table and we require few columns. You can't restrict column level access on a table. Then what you do? You create a view with the selected columns what you would like to visible to other team. Then what you do? You create a read access on that particular view. Right? So whenever people access that view, a SQL query will execute in the database and it gets the output. So view is nothing but a SQL statement. View is used to execute the SQL statement. So here in MDM, I'm just relating package with you. In MDM, you can call packages as view. So what package do? You just call the SQL query. That's it, nothing more than that. Okay, guys? Cleanse functions. Cleanse functions. Okay. So if you remember when I was explaining the architecture, what I told you, supposed to land to stage, right? In stage process, what all things happen? You remember? In stage process, in stage process, you implement delta detection, you configure raw table, you configure reject, you won't configure any reject table. By default, reject table is configured. And what else you do? You standardize the data, right? Cleaning the data, conversion of one form of data into another format as per the MDM standards, right? This is done where in a mapping, right? So these are the cleanse functions what are given to you by default. So 90% whatever requirement come to you, you can achieve with this cleanse functions. Okay. So these are the cleanse functions. These are nothing but SQL functions, but these are created in Java environment. That's the reason they call it as cleanse functions. Generally, if you have a database knowledge, we have SQL functions. Right? Altering, marking, substring, instring, depot, toChar, toDate. Same thing, but these are built in Java environment. So what is up? See, very simple. You can explore, guys. Can you see it? Java function. These are all built in Java environment. And I told you something. MDM has provided you flexibility where you can create your own code. But where you need to do that? You need to do that in Java. Okay. So click on test. So enter something. Oh, already I'm giving in uppercase. Let me enter in lowercase. So these all cleanse functions are called in mapping space. So it will convert in uppercase. So the conversion of one form of data to another format is done by using the cleanse functions. What to explain? It's not yet done. Just a quick walk through the thing. Okay. So these all functions I'll explain, no worries. Substring, which gives you the path of the string. Okay. Title case. What this title case do? Convert the first letter into caps, the remaining letters into lowercase. First letter into caps, rest of the things in lowercase. Trim, nothing to explain. Remove the spaces. Okay. Concatenating, merging the fields. Default value format left pad, adding something. Lowercase. Okay. Regular expression. This I'm going to explain when I show you mappings. Okay. So these are all functions I'm going to explain always. So this is cleanse functions. I hope you understand. Cleanse functions. Cleanse functions contain set of cleanse functions which are used to clean the data, which are used to standardize the data. Okay, next mappings. Yeah. If you people are from Power Center background, you'll understand mappings, but these mappings will not be flexible as Informatica mappings because this tool is not developed by Informatica. This is an acquired product. So click on mappings. These are the mappings. This is source, this is target. Nothing but this is landing, this is staging. So what cleansing is happening here? So in this mapping, it is simple path. We do have simple path mapping, right? What is simple path? No need to transform anything. Just pull the data and process the data. Okay. Let me show you a standardized mapping. If you see here, guys. Don't get confused or don't get tense. It's very simple. I'll explain you this. Very, very simple. This is all standardization. These all are the cleanse functions. This is source, this is target. You are not directly pulling the data from source and loading. In between what you are doing? Cleansing, conversion of one form of data to another format. These are all called cleanse functions. No worries, very simple. I'll explain you this when mapping comes into the picture. Okay, so this is how mapping is created in MDM. Okay, next one, hierarchies. This is also very, very, very important topic. Hierarchies, which explains you the relationship between the entities. How one entity or how one record is associated with another record. If you are working with telecom domain, you have Vamshi, Pramod, Kiran, Banu, etc. So in hierarchies, you need to configure, and in hierarchy manager, you can see a hierarchical data in a GUI format. So here you configure the hierarchies, and what things you configure that in a GUI format you can see here. Let me show you. I'll show you a small hierarchy so that you'll understand better. So if you see here, this was the hierarchy which I created in my training session. There is no hierarchy. Employee related information. Oh, there is no hierarchy. That's just it. Okay. I think I installed, there is no hierarchy function. I think I have formatted the system and installed MDM. I think that's the reason I could not see any hierarchies, but I'll show you the default hierarchies. This is the schema, this is the OS which you get at the time of installation by default. So here if you see, you don't understand anything, just see the GUI layout how it looks like. But because I need to explain you the configuration of hierarchies, then only you'll understand how this is displayed. But for the time being, just see how it looks like. From source you get data and you get relationship of it. From source you get data as well as you get the relationship. How one record is associated with another record. So you need to configure the hierarchies. Then you can see in this way you can see the GUI. My phones provide now given laser marks. Here there is relationship is just one-on-one. You have multiple relationships. Let me show you. This is the product domain. Here also one-on-one. Okay, let me open. Okay, so this is how hierarchies are configured, and here you can see what is the relationship between this Potter household and Della Potter. If you see here, Potter household contains Della Potter as a member. In this way, you have a number of relationships, but here I am not able to track it out at this point of time. But at the time of configuration, I show you. Okay, so this is where we are. Yeah, we come here. We configure the hierarchy. See, at this point of time, you get from source, you get data as well as you get relationship. In MDM, you have to display that in a GUI format, how one entity is associated with another entity, what is the relationship among them. Okay. Here you configure them, and here in a GUI format, that hierarchical information will be displayed to you guys. Next one, Security Access Manager, SAM, Security Access Manager. So here what we have done, here we just created a user and we have given a tool access. Here you give the privileges. What privileges? Read, update, delete, create, execute, merge, etc. So here you assign the privileges. So this takes somewhere around 40 minutes session. At this point of time, just I am trying to tell you. Here you give privileges to the users. Privileges to the user objects, resource objects, what you develop in MDM. Next comes data steward, data manager, merge manager. At this point of time, you don't understand. But here you can manually merge a record, you can unmerge a record, etc. etc. So these are all data steward utility tools, and it has its own time frame window. Hierarchy manager, I just explained. Here you configure the hierarchies, and here the hierarchies are displayed. Okay. Next comes utilities. Okay. So batch viewer. Here you run each job individually. So we have stage jobs, we have load jobs, right? Here you run each job individually. What happens when I click on execute? It copies the data from LAN and loads into the stage table. See, what is the data process from LAN to stage, stage to base object. So here in stage, this mappings, when you execute, the data is copied from stage and loaded into, sorry, the data is copied from LAN and loaded into stage. And if you see here, load job, when I run this, what happens? The data is copied from stage and loads into the base objects. Here in batch viewer, you have to run each job individually. In batch viewer, you have to run each job individually. After you run this job, after completion of this job, next job is triggered. But this is a manual task. And here in the batch group group of jobs are triggered either sequentially or parallel, and it's an automated task. No need to manually trigger each and every job. After completion of one job, another job will be triggered automatically. You can configure in such a way whether you can trigger the jobs sequentially or parallelly. In this way, you can see. For better understanding, when topic comes, you'll understand. Okay, I'm not able to see. I think they are not configured in patch. Anyhow, when I'll explain this topic, I'll explain you how to configure this. No worries. And process server. So guys, you need to register your server here, client match server. When if you won't register the server, you're not able to execute the job. Okay. Audit manager, which is used to audit the real-time messages. What message MDM has received and what message MDM has published. For batch mode, there won't be any auditing. For real-time mode, there is an auditing concept. You understand auditing, right? Capturing what transactions happened in MDM, what message got into MDM, and what message published outside MDM. Okay. Swift manager, I explained you, Swift, inbound real-time service. User update registry. This is something which is related to customization. I told you, right? When data flows from LAN to stage, stage to BO, BO to match, match to merge, in this flow, you can customize the code that is done using user object registry, user exit. So this is a quick walkthrough of the tool, guys. No worries, each and every workbench utility has its own time window. So this is the complete course what we are going to discuss. Once this is done, Informatica data direction, user exit, that's it. This is all about MD. Okay? So this is the course.
Vamshi, can you?
Just a second. This is the course content what we are going to cover. Right, it's not getting it. Just a second. This is the course content what we are just forget about this days and timings. These are the course content what we are going to cover. Okay. I'll forward you this. This is the course content what we are going to cover. If you look at high level, I explained, I given you a quick walkthrough about each and every option what will be here. I told you, right, designing the data model, Informatica MDM console overview, and ETL, DQ, MDM, what is the difference? Base table, landing table, stage table, configuring first, lookups, schema viewer, twin functions, mappings, batch viewer and batch groups, load data from landing to stage, stage to load data from landing to stage, stage to BO, lookup table loads, matching. How to configure matching, I am not showing you. That comes when we load the data into base office, then matching comes into the picture. How to execute the batch process, queries, packages, data manager, merge manager. You can see all the topics what I just walked through till now. Okay. So yeah, that's for the day. Now, please let me know someone has raised some question. You can ask me.
Vamshi, can you give us like how the data steward login and
Yeah,
how he
definitely.
manages
I'll
the
explain
data?
you all those things. To explain you data steward responsibilities, first of all, we need to load the data. Then I can explain after match and match process got completed. Then data steward comes into the picture. So these are the utilities. These are the tools which belongs to the data steward exclusively. Data manager, merge manager, hierarchy manager. At this point of time, you won't understand, and people get confused. This has to be going a process. Then only you'll understand. No worries, I'll be explaining the data steward utilities.
Okay.
After loading,
And also,
after
do you also cover the data governance also, right?
no, data governance is not covered as part of MDM. Data governance is something related to IDD. In IDD, we show you how to configure the application. IDD is a data governance tool in MDM.
So you cover IDD as well, right?
Yeah, then only it's a complete course, right? If I don't cover IDD, then 80% of course is covered. I cover IDD as well.
So IDD is a data governance, right? Okay.
I'm sorry, come again, please.
IDD is a data governance.
Yeah, I did that
Data.
governance tool. It's very, very simple. Just you need to configure the application and you have some GUIs. You need to do that and you need business will access the URL. Anyhow, yeah, I'm going to explain. I'm going to cover IDD as well.
Okay, thank you, Vamshi.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, guys, then that's for today. Let's have next session tomorrow. Thank you.